slide.
Do you know where the afters is?
Yeah. Well, actually, we did an episode not so long ago, and it was the Cricket World Cup final.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
Could you hear everything?
It was okay. It was okay. It was good, you know. But yeah, when we turned up, I was like, "Fuck." Well, mate, this is an absolute pleasure to have you on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, like you know, even for my journey, like you know, listening to your records was a big part for me and Liam, like getting into the scene. To have you here now and talk about it, it's great. Unfortunately, Jackie can't make it with us today, but he is here with us in spirit, and hopefully we'll put some effects here for him. So I'm going to butcher this. Usually Jackie does this.
All
Obviously, I know who you are.
Yeah.
But for those who don't, who the fuck are you?
I am Seb Zito. I started doing this professionally probably around the start of Fuse, which would have been in like 2008, 2009. But I've been buying records and DJing since I was like 13 years old.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Great. So let's go back then. Let's
Okay.
go back to the start. You know, what was your pivotal moment in terms of you knowing that you wanted to be a DJ?
The first time I got on the decks.
Okay, well.
Man, I knew it was, you know what, it was like, I remember the person I used to buy weed off, he was an MC on Delight FM, and he had a DJ that was from kind of like my area, not my area, but I'd knocked about in Angel, Islington, so, and he was from...
You're London born and bred.
Yeah, London born and bred,
yeah,
right in like, literally in Soho, that's where my mum and dad still live, so
okay.
where I grew up as a child in the 90s, and like I said, my weed dealer, he was an MC, and his like DJ that he did it with, I kind of knew him, Ashley, and he was like, obviously I went up there, he was sort of playing, and I said to him, "Oh, can I ever go?" I was like 13. Yeah, I was 13 years old, 13, 14, between that. And he just said, like, you just got to hit the booms and the clacks. And I was like, booms and clacks? He's like, yeah, the kicks and snares. I was like, oh, okay, cool, I could do that. Like, got it in beat for about a second, and then obviously pots and pans. Yeah. But I was hooked from that moment. I was like, right, I'm only 13 years old. I don't have much money. I can't buy a Technic 1210s because he told me how much they were. I was like, how the fuck am I going to get a pair of like Technics or just a pair of turntables? More importantly, how am I going to get fucking records as well? But yeah, from that moment, I was like, this is me. This is my calling, man. This is what I'm meant to do. And it's been a passion and an obsession since then.
So what music were you listening to and playing back
That
then?
was garage.
Garage, yeah?
Yeah, that was garage. At that time, so I'm showing my age here, it was like mid-90s, early mid-90s.
Okay.
Back then it was house and garage, so it obviously originated from Chicago and from New York. But we sped everything up, so from 120 to 130, 130 plus, and the guys like that started it, everything kind of was around this area here in Vauxhall or Elephant and Castle. That's kind of where it all started. But at this point I was way too young to get into the club, so like my kind of connection to it was pirate radio, and the guy that used to sell weed to me.
Fucking double result there. Like what, you know, for those that are listening who might not know that era, but probably me included, actually, like, what sort of artists were you listening to back then? Like, who were you inspiring to be?
So it was like Matt Jam Lamont, Cole Tough Enough Brown, EZ was a little bit later. The Dream Team as well. They come from jungle into garage. But yeah, Cole Tough Enough Brown, Matt Jam Lamont, those guys. They were like at the heart. They were the start of it, really. MJ Cole as well. I think he was. I think originally he was like the lighting sound guy for these things, but kind of got into kind of DJing a little bit later. But they were the guys at that time.
So for you then, after knowing this, like, when did you sort of like when did you get your decks? Like, when did you learn how to mix properly to be able to get your first gig?
So my best friend at the time, he was like, someone in my school is selling a pair of SoundLab belt drives, right? Which are like the worst turntables you can play on. But we was like, yeah, fine, yeah, definite, we'll do it. So the guy said, look, you know what, you can test them out. If you like them, then you can buy them. But we never ended up buying them. We just took them.
Okay.
I think the geezers are just happy to get rid of them.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
course,
Like, because they're big, clumpy, horrible things. And, you know, the little bit of money that we would get from our parents at the time, like, you know, we'd get on a Friday, I might get a £5. On a Saturday, I might get another thing. Like, together we'd have 20 quid. It's like, do we buy weed or do we buy records? Yeah, so, but no, we'd end up in, you know, Uptown Records at the time. That's no longer there. Black Market, which is no longer there as well. They were like the two main, and City Sounds as well, which used to be in Holborn originally, but moved to Hatton Garden. They were like the 3 record stores that would go to. And like literally our whole existence was about getting as much money so we could buy records and weed. and then that was it. We just, you know, from that we kind of we had like the local youth centre, which was in Seven Dials, which obviously we're talk about that.
Of course, absolutely.
We would take the turntables there, and our friends would all be there, and we'd be playing to our friends, sort of thing, like the same 5 records. But like perfecting, like me and my friend, we were mixing tight on these things. Like we knew how to mix, and it was the hardest way to learn. But I you know, anyone that wants to be a DJ, I know no one really cares whether you play vinyl or not now. But I would always say learn from that. You don't have to stick with that. You can move on to, you know, onto digital formats if you want. But
just learning that.
Yeah, learning that. Like, use your ears. You're not looking at anything. There's nothing to like gauge on. You're just understanding your records and playing your records.
And the music. And that's me and Liam, actually, that's what we learned on CDJs and then learnt records later on.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking to someone yesterday, just about like the difference between selecting a vinyl set and a digital set. You know, obviously both, you know, a lot of thought goes into it, but with vinyl, you don't have the ability to be able to change the whole sort of sound. You know what I mean? You've got them records, you've got, and then that's it. If it ain't working, it ain't working.
You know what? I've actually got a story. I played for the No Art guys, like before they blew up. They did their party in the Glass. You know, I can't remember what that venue was called, and I said, "Oh, can you play vinyl there? Because I'm literally going to play 90%, at least 90%." with my little tracks on top. And they're like, yeah, don't worry, you can. And so obviously my set was what was in my bag. There's one turntable, so you could scratch, not like, which I hate having the pitch there
at the top.
It was like balancing on something. It wasn't isolated, and it just completely fucked everything, man. My set, it was probably the worst set I've ever played. I felt so bad because, like, I remember, is it Jesse? I remember him saying, "Oh yeah, you kind of played a little bit different." I was like, you know what? I'm not going to blame it on anyone. I should have been prepared, man. I should have, like, I don't know, bounced those records. I should have ripped the records. So if that did happen, I've got the fallback. But it just completely fucking destroyed me. But
that's the thing, innit? You know, that's the thing with like with records. Like you know, you never know what's going to happen. So.
I just see, you know what, as well. I kind of see the pointless, like, buying records and then having to rip every fucking record.
Of course.
You might
as well just fucking rip them in the first place. You know what I mean? Okay, so when was the first time you ever played out to a crowd, and how did that come about?
Okay, so the first gig I had was a place called Whispers I think it was in Ealing Broadway, around there. It was a real shit, like, Tuesday night sort of thing. It was a garage thing. No one was there. It was like it was one to be forgotten about. But then the next one, me and my friend were booked to play before So Solid Crew at a place called Hanover Grand. It used to be in the West End, like just off of Regent Street. Okay. But this was before they kind of blew up. They had like 4 or 5 different DJs, so it was like whoever turned up on the day. It was a Thursday night, and we played before them, so that was like the first. Like, oh yeah, we warmed up for So Solid Crew. And this was like 1998 or 99. So that was the first club night that we did. Okay, all right.
So then, how did it sort of, you know, spiral then? Like after that,
from there, I mean, I always wanted to pursue that career from that age, really, but I don't know, life got in the way. Not life, but, you know, I was in a pretty successful job at the time,
Okay.
I had a career. I had a full-on career.
Oh wow!
I was an engineer at British Telecom. I used to design networks and stuff. So
okay.
you know, it was like pretty full-on. And so I kind of chose, I guess, money and stability over pursuing a pipe
unknown.
dream,
Yeah,
maybe.
of course.
I don't know, but
yeah.
I mean, at that time, I don't think, in my eyes, there was never a superstar DJ like what you have now.
Yeah.
It was just, you didn't really follow DJs in that sort of way. You know, you'd listen, you followed the music. That's what you followed.
Yeah.
You followed the music and the passion, and it was more about the parties and the connections that you would make at these parties. And, you know, that's what it was about. It was about that vibe and community as well. That's what you got in the 90s and even early 2000s. You had that. That, like, you know, these DJs weren't put on pedestals. So, you know, for me, I remember I was like, all I want to do is work in a record shop, have my own pirate radio show, and do my shows. Like that's like that was my dream then. You know. Now, like, you've got kids saying, I want to fly a private jet, and I want. You know, it's like, oh, fuck off, mate. It's not about that, man. Come on, you got it all wrong. You know. But
and I think much like back then, it was much more of an actual pipe dream as well, because you didn't, you know what I mean? Like, if you probably thought you'd got as far as you have now, back then,
never.
It was unheard of. Do you know what I mean?
Like I said, it was like literally work in a record shop, have my pirate radio station, and do a couple of shows on the weekend, sort of thing. That was my aspirations at the time as a DJ.
I mean, you'd be gutted if you were still doing that now.
You know what? I reckon I'd be fucking more happier, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we'll get into
You know
that.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
of course. This is, we'll definitely talk about the struggles that people don't see. But like, how did it go from like there and then to Fuse?
Okay, so I was playing for my first like proper residency was for Smarty Party. And Trace used to do Smarty Party at Terminals. So me and my friends did a party called No Surprises. It's really, really shit name, to be honest. But we did it at Dust Bar, which was, it used to be just down from Terminals.
Okay.
And like, you know, we'd get like 300, 400, 500 people there. And we thought, let's move it to Terminals. And got in contact with Trace. And we did our first party there in the T2 room. It, you know, it went really well. And kind of, the party kind of phased out, and me and my friend just ended up being residents there. And then my friend kind of like, I don't really want to do this anymore, Seb. And I was still doing it, and my sound kind of like changed. I was, at the time, we was playing like house, funky house, classic house, that sort of vibe. A little bit of garage. He didn't really like us people playing garage at Terminals, so a little bit thrown in, but it was mainly like classic house and stuff. And then I was like, after Smarty Party, I was going to Egg. I was going to like the after parties. And, and from that, my sound started getting a little more minimal. Like, I would always have that house and garage element. Like, I still do now, but obviously it just got stripped back. And then from that, my sound kind of changed. And, you know, Trace was like, look, your sound is changing. We can't really book you here anymore. So I wouldn't say I stopped playing, but I wasn't, like, I was doing Unknown FM, and I was doing my sound on Unknown FM at the time. And I think I met Enzo. I went traveling. I traveled around South America for 6 months. And then when I got back, my friends were like, look, meet Enzo. So they introduced me to him, and Enzo's like, look, I've got this party called Circuit, which was at a home bar in Shoreditch. He's like we was hanging out at this point. Like, we were like, I was talking about music, he was talking about music, and he gave me a set without me even like giving him a mix or anything. He like never heard me play before, just off the basis of what other people were saying and just what we were talking about musically. We connected on that level, and then I did my first set there at Home Bar. It went really well. He made me a resident there, and then obviously from home there was like an after party somewhere else, and then Fuse started. And then obviously home bar finished, and they focused on Fuse, and I just kind of moved over from Circuit to Fuse, and that was it. Like from that moment, I was there every Sunday, even if I wasn't playing.
So just I mean, first of all, breakfast at Egg. Wow,
wow.
I bet you had some interesting times there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, I used to sometimes after Smarty Party, I'd stay at Terminals, and there was I think it was Trade.
Yeah, Trade. Yeah, because Trade was obviously Lawrence.
So
that's what he ran.
but I mean, that was a very mixed. That was predominantly a gay party, but it was very mixed as well. And I used to stay there and hang out a little bit. But Egg was like, okay, because it was more my music as well. You know, you had Raymondo, and there was all these really cool like DJs playing this minimal sound at the time, and then like from Egg, you'd go to Cubicle Toilet. You had like FB Julian and Jamie Jones as well, man.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was talking to someone about the. Have you seen there's the YouTube video of Jamie Jones and Hector, and it's when they did it. Was it Public Live?
Public Live. Yeah.
And it's like them doing the. You're right.
Yeah, just built everything.
When them doing Public Live, and then they get the train to Birmingham, like Hector and Jamie up on the train there to play a gig.
I mean, again, like Hector, Jamie. The first time I ever heard Jamie Jones was at Public Life. It was for Cubicle, and a friend of mine was like, "Look, you've got to hear this guy." Like, I knew him from his Freak and Chic release that he did. I can't remember what it was called, but
what year was this? Just roughly,
early 2000s, I think. It was like 2002, maybe later. But yeah, the first time I heard him play at Cubicle, and I was like, fuck, like this geezer's really fucking, he's really good. And then Hector as well, he was like, he was popping off at this point. Hector is, he was doing a lot of stuff, both of them are doing a lot of stuff at Fabric and that's kind of like where we kind of formed Fuse off the back of Secret Sundays, you know, Cubicle, those moments at Egg and stuff, you can say inspired the start-up of Fuse.
And just that scene in general, I think.
In
London,
man, it was so buzzing, man. It was like, you know what, I actually stopped going out on a Saturday.
To go on
I'd wake up 6 o'clock in the morning. Friends would call, like Timo and Nick and a few other the boys would be like, "Look, Seb, come on, I'll meet you down at," because I where I lived in central London, the egg for me was like 10 minutes away from me.
Okay.
So we'd go down there. It'd be like cup of tea with a little spoonful of MDMA, and that was it. I was on my way.
So where did you start when you started playing with Fuse? Like, where was that, and then? When did it go to 93? Because that's I mean, for me, that's where I remember.
So it went to 93 in the winter of 2008, I believe. I'm sure it's the winter of 2008, and I was meant to play a party at the House and Terrace, which is now Studio 338. It was called House and Terrace back then. A friend of mine was doing a party there, and I was meant to play there. And Enzo was like, you know, you can either go there or you can commit and come and play for me. And I just fucked that party off and went, which was, you know, in hindsight, it was a bit of a liberty, but at the same time, like, you know,
just imagine if you didn't.
If I went to that. So I think that commitment was like, that was one thing. I think anyone, if you're gonna work with people, the first thing you're gonna want is commitment from those people, and you know, and that's what we all did. We all committed to it because we all believed in it, and we all felt the same, and we all wanted the same, and you know, and I think that's what made Fuse so great.
Absolutely, it was like a very family vibe.
It was very much.
And I think it's good hearing you say that, because a lot of artists all say the same thing. Like when they started, it's like being a part of the brand, turning up, even if you weren't playing, just turning up, showing face, you know, being there, knowing everyone. And I don't know. Oh shit.
What's happened?
Sorry, I've just.
Okay.
Sorry. And then I don't know if you get that as much anymore with a lot of parties. Like
I don't know. I don't know whether it's a you know. I'm
sorry. 1 second.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Excuse me, I've just had a technical fault here.
There's other ones that you can try on. Is that going to be a bit tighter?
There we go.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a lot older, so like hanging out in clubs and stuff, and like, it's just like that's gone for me. Yeah. As much as I like to do that, it's like I have kids, I have commitments and stuff, so I can't do that. But is there a scene going on where young kids are doing this? I don't think so, man. I think the grassroots element of clubbing, which is always from small venues and building a sound and a community. Maybe the last party was Solid Grooves, maybe. Maybe you know, you've got Appetite and you've got these other parties. So where I'm disconnected, maybe there's young kids there going, yes, there is.
Leave in the comments, isn't it? That's what I mean. Leave us in the comments.
Yeah, fucking there is, Seb. You should come down and check it out. Which, you know what? If there is, I'll go and check it out, because for me, that's what clubbing's about, man. It's not about these fucking huge rooms with the sound that can't fill that room because it's too fucking big.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a bunch of people that don't know why the fuck they're there. Like, don't get me wrong, it looks great on the gram, and you know, you do, as a DJ, you do get a different buzz from those sort of elements. But for me, it's always about the grassroots.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. So obviously Fused then at 93.
Yeah.
When did your production start coming into it?
It come in a lot later, to be honest. Like, we were just DJs at this point. We weren't even making music. I'm going to be honest with you. I never really wanted to make music, man. I fucking hate it. I still do. I mean, I wouldn't say I hate it, but it's the chore of my job.
It's
Everything else I love, but that and social media is like the chore. Like, it's like getting up and doing that is a fucking ball ache, but you have to do it. You know, it's like, but I've got into it. But it's taken me a very long time to get to that, to that stage where I just like go and do it. But I think I pull it off for some time. Even at Fuse, my first release, I actually don't know.
2011.
11, okay, even later, yeah.
But you had quite a lot of releases.
So I did, before Fuse, I did off recordings. And
I remember.
I had one track on off recordings, and I had one on Monique. Yeah, is it Monique Music? Something like that. I don't even know if it's even still there. That was like the first release, but my first Fuse release would be, I think, 2011.
I think it was, that's what I see. Cause
yeah,
it was,
the Senor Chunk. And,
Hollywell as well.
Oh, that one, that's my favourite.
I love that. I had that on a record, man. I remember that.
Because you couldn't get Burnaby
of course not.
on digital.
On digital at that time,
that record for me was so special cool. Because Burnaby is where my current partner, that's where she was living. That's where we was living.
Okay,
it was a fucking love song, man. Like,
you
know what I mean? It's like me declaring my love to her. Like,
love it, man. But I think that just them older records like that, just for me anyway, because that's when I first started really going out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, trying to even get infused for me was a big thing back then. So,
trying to get into
man, I told a story the other week about when the first time I went up when I lived in Essex, I went back, I had the slick hair, the fake Ray-Bans, and it's like, come on, lads, because we'd all heard about Fuse. And this is like before I'd even start, I'd only just started listening to house music. We went up, rocked up, it's nice tight tops and that. Didn't even get in.
Was Teresa.
Teresa, she just like, fuck off, guys.
The thing is, right, in order to get into Fuse at that time, you either had to know T, or the guys. Like that's how you got in there. Like 90% of the time, if you didn't know anything about the party, you wasn't allowed in. That's it. I remember Jamal Edwards, God rest his soul, man. I remember him hitting me up saying, "Look, Seb, I got turned away with a few friends. Can you have a word?" And I was like, "That's all you had to do, mate. All you had to do was connect with me or one of the guys, and that was it." Like, he was a regular there as well, man. Yeah. Like, big love to him, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
for sure. But I think, that's what created such a special party as well.
Yeah.
This is obviously I lived like being in Berlin.
Yeah,
it was very not to that degree, but similar in terms of like if you don't
look
look the part, you've got to look the part. You've got to know the music. It's not just like anyone comes in and then, someone who's going to see the party, it's so much more of an experience because everyone's there for the DJs, for the sound, for the party, and then it's just an absolute vibe.
Yeah, I think personally, I think there needs to be more of that in London. Because no disrespect to anyone, but like if you're not there for that reason, you shouldn't be there.
No, of course.
Go somewhere else, man. Like you shouldn't be on the dance floor.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what it's about. It's about loving the sound and wanting to connect with different people, and that's what this is all about. And
of course.
I don't know. Is it lost? Is it there? But you have to search for it. Like at some point we had to search for those moments. Like maybe I'm just too disconnected from it all now. I don't know. Yeah. But I'd love to think that it is still there.
I'm sure it is somewhere, but I definitely know that Brick Lane, it ain't the same on a Sunday anymore.
Not. No.
You know what I mean? Because I remember when they used to have Rhythm Factory on as well down the end.
That's right.
Me and Lee used to go and stand outside and fly for Rhythm Factory back in the day.
You had a few parties. You had that Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
That was it.
You had what was that? That was at 1001, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1001 as well.
And then you had Brick House next door, and and then what was the other party in Hackney? Half Baked started as well, which is a great party. Absolutely, man. Great guys as well.
Yeah,
so.
top blokes. So obviously, then Fuse started. The production started coming out. Like just let's go from from there really.
Yeah.
Where
So
did it sort of go?
the first EP I did, like you said, was 2011, the Senor Chunk one, and that took me quite a long time to get to that stage because I was working with Alexano. He was like my engineer at the time.
Amazing.
I pretty much learned everything from that guy, man. Great guy.
Great guy. Yeah, awesome.
Great guy. Great producer.
So many good records.
So many. And then obviously, just the way of the industry, you start to understand, fuck, I can't just be a DJ.
Yeah.
I have to make music, I have to, unless otherwise I'm just not gonna progress any further. I think there's only a handful of DJs that don't make music and, and get bookings. It's very
nowadays it's like I
non-existent.
I
think.
can maybe a couple
Then
of
UFO.
There we go.
Then UFO. EZ.
Yeah.
I think EZ made 1 record or 2 records back in the day.
But I think if you're coming up now, it's like you got no
I don't
chance.
think you can.
No, I don't know. You'd have to be
You have to
something
make
very
music.
special.
So yeah, that was like, oh fuck, I have to make music. So that was a chore. Like I said, that was a fucking chore because all I ever wanted to do was be a DJ. That's it, And but at the time, like we had a crew. There was a load of residents. It was me, Enzo, Rich. Then Archie and Roscoe come in a little bit later. There was also, at the time, Chris Moran, Anthony DeFrancesco, all these guys. And I think we were all like working together, like Dan Fazzarelli as well at the time. Like we was all connecting together and creating a sound and a vibe that was inspired by the dance floor. And that's, kind of our productions was influenced by that stuff. And, obviously the more you make, you start getting recognized and, you start venturing out. I was playing in Italy a lot as well in the early stages. The Italians were very much into our sound. Zurich as well. Started playing a lot in Zurich, a lot. They go through stages after us. I think they went down the Romania, and I don't know even know what's hot there now.
I think it's a bit of. I think it's quite a mix. Like I said. I played Zurich quite a few times as well, so I think they've still got that sound. But how did it go? Did you then get picked up by an agency or?
So Anna, who was at the time Roscoe's girlfriend, she was working for F&G in Italy. So she was doing my bookings in Italy, and then the UK stuff. To be fair, I didn't really want to play anywhere in London. The only place I played was Fuse.
Fair enough.
And people were offering me, Enzo, like big money to go and play at these other parties, but we was like, well, why do we have to?
We've got that every Sunday, innit?
Everything I want from this place, right? So the UK was kind of like, I wouldn't say stagnant, but we'd only do London, and then Italy, Zurich, and then sort of these bookings were coming through. Anna was getting me like 4 or 5 shows a month just in Italy.
Oh wow!
I was playing loads in Italy.
Wow.
I was doing more shows in Italy than the UK.
Whereabouts? Where's your favourite spot in Italy?
So I was doing classic when classic club.
Yeah.
What was the other the one in Rome? God, Jesus Christ, my memory's so bad. Is it Zebra or there was a few places that like Classic Club was probably one of my favourite places to play. There was a huge club in Milan that we used to do as well. But yeah, like Italy was like my main kind of place that I'd go and play. And then obviously there'd be the big Fuse dates that you'd have in the UK, and then we started venturing into Sankey's in Manchester when the old Sankey's was there. The Terminal guys as well, they've always supported us in Birmingham. So yeah, I guess like word of mouth. The internet was a vessel back then, but nowhere where it is now. Nothing like what it was. It was you was booked based on your merits, on your records, and basically being a good DJ sort of thing. That's how you got your bookings. And then Anna, she was poached by Artists Alive. Enzo was already at Artists Alive at this point, and I just naturally moved with her. I was at Artists Alive for a bit, and then I've moved around within the time. So it's kind of where I am now.
Okay. So on that, let's talk about your label.
Yes.
7 Dials.
Yeah, 7 Dials. Yeah.
I want to hear that because I was going to ask you actually where the name come from. So let's start with that.
So 7 Dials kind of come from a place where we all get it. Like we all get to a point where musically you're like obviously I've been doing the Fuse sound for so long, that kind of stripped back dubby vibe, but I also had this other side that was housey and faster and skippier, and like where could I release this sort of sound without compromising what I already have with Fuse. So that's why I thought, okay, let's do this. This time to do my own label where I can showcase this mixture of house and garage, and I based it on Seven Dials because that's where I learned how to DJ, and it was the youth club at the time.
Okay.
You know, that's where we used to take our turntables and play it would be on 3 times a week, I think. You know, my mum, as a child, my mum worked there. She worked in the bar and she did the cleaning for Seven Dials. She used to take me as a kid. Like, I'd be 6 years old in the corner, like whilst my mum's working in the bar, eating crisps and drinking Coke, sort of thing. You know, like I grew up in that place. Like, Seven Dials was like my second home. It was my home from home sort of thing. So it has a very, very fond kind of part of my life, and I just thought, okay, if I'm going to do this, that's the reason. There, that's the name.
I'm sure. Did you, when one of your Fuse records called 7
Yes,
Dials
it was.
well?
Yeah. I think it was the first record.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So that, like, again, that was like the connection.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Like, I wanted it to be based on where it all started.
I love it.
So it was the Seven Dials EP, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Amazing.
Seems
So
long ago, man.
well, like what was your first release on the label?
It was my release. I think it was 95, 96. I called it. It was like predominantly 4/4 kind of garage sort of vibe. Yeah, that was my first one, and I think the second release was also from me, and then third release, I don't even know. It was so long ago.
I think was it the second one you had Nick Beringer on the remix?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That was a wicked remix as well. Really
Nick,
good.
Man, he's so cool.
And then like Hugo did an amazing vocal track which I remixed as well. But there's some great records on there, man, which kind of sits between house and garage, a little bit of breaks.
Yeah,
you know, that was my vibe. That was the whole point of it.
Yeah, no, that's what I love about your sound is that, you know, especially coming from the sort of more stripped back minimal stuff, you really brought forward them garage roots that you had. You know, with like the big open hats and stuff like that.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
Is it I Like It, the one with the
Yeah,
vocal?
yeah.
That was class.
That was
as well.
the second one, I
Was it?
think.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That one was. I made that track in like 2 hours. It was
Wow.
just one of those moments where everything fucking clicks.
Fucking hell.
That was like the one and only time in that year that I did that. Like, every other time it was like banging my head on.
About 20 different projects.
I know.
Okay, cool. So just on that, what's the favourite record that you've made personally?
Ooh, God. You know what? My stuff on Fuse, the Hollywell EP, the Rag On EP as well was really cool because that's kind of like minimal but housey at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it had that kind of mixture of both. And my Slapdash EP on,
I'm glad because that's mine, man. I put it on this morning when I was on my run, and I remember when that come out. It's on Edible.
Yeah, on Edible. Yeah,
such a tune, man. Just and I
Yeah.
played it. Where did I play it? I played it. I think it was Sisyphos once in Berlin. It just went off.
Yeah,
like, this a
the
tune.
whole EP though as well. Like
even
the other 2 records are really cool, and there was always a part of me that was like, I wish I love Edible and I love Dan. But there was a part of me that was like, that should have gone on Fuse. But it was at a time where I had to show that I was more than just that in order to get bookings. Yeah. So, you know, that's why I kind of started venturing out and doing other bits on other labels. Sort of thing.
I think that's it. That's you know, it's important for your career at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, you have to show range, innit? You know, and if you can't do it on your home label, then you do it on other labels. You know.
Yeah, for sure. So. Last couple of questions about gigs, and I'm going to move on. But what I want to know is like, obviously, I think I already know the answer to this now. But London was a big special place to you.
Yeah.
Is there any other club or like city in the world that really holds a special like place in your heart?
Guys, you know what? It changes. It changes all the time because of, you know, just at the time there's always a different vibe. Like Italy was always a really cool place to go and play. So was Zurich at one point. But South America for me, and it doesn't even matter where, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, the energy is just like no other. I don't care what anyone says, man. I feel like they're like, not the last, but that's the one place where I know I can go and play from my heart and they will just fucking love it.
Yeah.
And they'll go with it. They haven't got their fucking phones out. They're not, you know, they're there because they love music and they want to hear something different. And yeah, for me, anywhere in South America, it doesn't even matter. You know, like Los Beach is always cool. yeah, there's so many parties, and another place as well that's kind of very fond to me is Space Miami as well. Like Miami is the best place to play in America.
Yeah,
It's the best place.
is it?
Nowhere else in the States comes close to that.
Okay.
And that's like I'm an international resident there, so I get to play there quite a lot, and
Amazing.
it's just become home for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on that, have you got like a most memorable gig, like especially maybe even in Miami?
Oh Jesus! You know what? All of my best memories as a DJ will always be from 93 Feet East. Always. Nothing even comes close to it. Like even now, there was a back-to-back set that me and Enzo did. We played Cocoon in the Park in Leeds, and then we did the after party at Mint Warehouse, not Mint Club, the original, but Mint Warehouse. And we played back-to-back for about 4 hours before Richie Houghton was playing. And I remember we was like, I think we was meant to play 3. Richie Houghton turned up and he was like, "Nah, let them play on, man." Like we were in sync. Like I don't think I've ever played a back-to-back that good.
Wow.
Like for a long period of time, like 4 hours we played for. That will always be one of my favorite back-to-back sets. There was one, you know what? There was one at 93 Feet East where I played for 4 hours. I think it was the 10th birthday. It may have been, I think it was the 11th birthday. And I was meant to, everyone was meant to go on back to back at the end. And Enzo was like, "Nah, let Seb play." Like he's like in the zone. So 93 is always like
Special place.
Yeah. Nothing comes close to it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. So, I mean, obviously, you've been in the industry now for a long time.
Yeah.
How do you like look after your health and fitness in the industry, and also like, how has that changed as your career has progressed on, especially with we're thinking about traveling and stuff like that.
Yeah. You know what? I was actually thinking about this today, and before I started touring, because I was pretty. I know 27 was when I left my job, which is quite old now, isn't it? Really,
yeah, for a DJ,
you've got girls, girls, boys, men, anyone starting like at 18 or even younger. So I kind of started late. But prior to that, oh God, I was such a shitbag. I was fucking terrible, man. Like I was a caner, man, like bad. I'm talking about from a very, very, very young age. I was going raving at 15 and doing everything. So I think when I started playing, I do believe, not everyone, but I do believe you kind of grow out of certain things and phases. And so when I started touring, that part of that life, I wouldn't say I was done with it, but I was definitely at a stage where I was a lot more in control of what I was doing. Don't get me wrong. There's been a lot of times where I've lost, like, I've done certain things and regretted and, just got too fucked or whatever. But I do believe that I got quite a lot of that out of my system. There's a lot of young DJs that are going straight in, straight into the top, where they're getting fed all sorts and given everything. I kind of done that, so I was a little more aware of what I was doing, but at the same time that didn't say that I wasn't doing anything when I was touring. But I think now you have to pick and choose your battles. Like the thing with me is that I know I'm never going to stop drinking fully, but it's like when I do it, it's like, okay, I have to make sure that there's no commitments, work commitments, there's no, I have children now, so for me, I haven't got a choice. You either fucking shape up or you go down a slippery route. So, but for someone that doesn't have that, I can understand it's very difficult because you are given everything and in abundance. It's in abundance and it's there, and at the time it's great, but after it's the aftermath, man. It's the aftermath, and you know what? As well, it's like the one thing I think or the one bit of advice I can give someone that's going through it is, okay, if you are caning it, get up and do something. Don't, even if it's just walking, just go for a walk the following day. Don't sit in bed and regret and regress and order shit food and, all these things are only going to make you feel worse. Like, you don't have to go to the gym, don't have to do that. Go and see your parents, like walk there or whatever. Just get up and do something. It will make you feel that little bit better
Yeah.
than what you would if you just sat in bed and procrastinated.
Absolutely.
So I think being active is key, isn't it? Really, you know, fitness. You have to. For me, it's all about what it does for your mind rather than you know, losing weight or looking, you know, buff or whatever. For me, it's always been about a mind thing, and when you go to the gym, it's that one time where your mind is not actually thinking. You switch off. That's my meditation.
Yeah. So
I've tried meditating. I can't do it.
I
I can't do it.
I'm mad. I'm just thinking, how long is this going to be?
But the gym, you really do just go in it.
Yeah, I get that, and I think that's great advice, because there is no blueprint, you know.
No, there isn't.
And I mean, you know, every DJ that we have on here is like proof that you never know where it's going to go. Like if you told your younger self that you'd be sat, you know, where you are now within, you know, this incredible career, you wouldn't have believed it. But it can happen, and nowadays it can happen fucking quick as well.
Happen a lot quicker.
Yeah,
a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Like when we started, there was certain things that you had to do in order to be accepted, because it was a crew, you know. Like if you wanted to play with these big boys, you had to do certain things. You had to earn your stripes. Now you don't even have to earn your fucking stripes, man. You make one hit or one edit, not even a hit, an edit, and you're playing fucking everywhere. And I can imagine for some young artist, it's a bit of a culture shock, because, like I said, everything is in abundance. Everything you could possibly want, and it can definitely take over.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can take over whatever you've set out to do. It can hijack everything.
Well, that's what it did. That's what it did with me and my brother. Like we just couldn't handle it, and we come from a lot of parties as well. But you just, you know, like you say, it just hits you, and you're like, fuck.
You just don't know, do you? You can't prepare yourself for these sort of things, you know. And you know, I've seen too many people go down slippery roads, and I've lost people as well through drugs and alcohol as well, you know. So yeah, I think just be mindful. It's very difficult to be mindful at the time when you're high, but if you can find some form of balance with what you do, you know, if you're all or nothing, you're better off just doing nothing, man. Like so I am all or nothing. I either go fully into gym or go fully into, like, you know, it's like pick the nothing, man, because that route, it's not a good route.
Do you know, through your career, have you ever had like a time where you thought, fucking, I'm maybe doing a bit too much of this or a bit too much of that? Yeah, definitely. Like when when my partner was like, you know, I'm pregnant, we're gonna start a family, we've got a family. I was like, fuck, I need to sort my shit out, man, because up until that point I was coasting, you know. I was like doing Fuse and, you know, like these other bookings, and I was taking it serious, but I was getting on it every weekend. I was drinking a lot. Like I was like, fuck, I've got a child, man. I've got something to really care about. Not to say that I didn't care about myself or my partner, but it's like, this shit is gonna get real, and if you don't sort your fucking life out, Seb, you're gonna fuck everything, you know. So I stopped drinking, stopped doing everything, started like training hard, and it installed, like those 7 months of doing that before the baby arrived, it really did install a different mindset for me. It's still there now. I have my little blips here and there, but we all do.
Yeah, it's natural. Like I don't beat myself up over it anymore. I just get on with it, man. Just get back on the horse, innit? That's it.
Yeah. I think that's a good bit of advice, that as well. You know, not to beat like everyone makes mistakes. That's sort of why we wanted to do this podcast, to show, like, you know, no matter how far you are in your career,
and everyone makes more than one mistake as well. Trust me.
I fucking hope so, because I'm fucked. But on that, you know, if you see, obviously, you know, you've been through the ranks and see a lot of DJs come and go. Like, have you seen a difference in terms of how new up and coming artists, like especially with the label you're probably speaking to a lot all the time, sending you music? Like, have you seen a different approach to how they look at music and how the scene's changed?
Yeah, I you know, everything is so social media based. You know, everything's about numbers. Everything is about popularity. You know, at the end of the day, if you're popular online, you're gonna get the shows. That's it. That's how it works, sort of thing. So it's like, you know, kids are going, right, how do I get popular so I can get shows, rather than what can I create that can connect properly with people and build something. And let's face it, if you do that, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight. Like building a sound and creating a following, and that's something that comes over a period of time. But I do believe if you do it that way, you'll have fans for your whole fucking career. You won't be just a phase where you've done something that's big, and because you've got to fucking follow that up, man. And it's not easy to do that either.
Yeah,
it's not easy to follow a hit after a hit after a hit after a hit. So my advice, I'd still say, like, build it from the bottom up. Start from create a sound, work on your productions, get your sound right to you. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. Sometimes it might connect quicker with people. You can connect quicker, obviously, because of social media, but I still stand by work on your sound and build a following, create a vibe around what you're doing. For me, that will always be the way to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than the quick fix sort of thing.
Yeah, of course. Well, because since I started, I've been listening to your records.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, that's the thing with me. My career has just been very gradual. You know, it's just I've moved at my pace and I've done music that I want to release. Don't get me wrong. There's probably a few things I probably shouldn't have done release wise and stuff. I probably chased there's been times where I know after COVID I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do, man? Like, shit. Like, I was devastated for nearly 2 years. Fuck, like, maybe I've got to go down that route, which might elevate and speed things up so I can, you know, provide for my family. And if this happens again, we're solid. But I soon realised that, fuck, that's not me, man. I don't want to do this. This ain't me. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy making this music. I don't enjoy, like, I don't even play records from that label. Why am I signing to this, you know?
Because then that makes it a grind then, doesn't it?
It's a grind.
What I mean? Yeah.
It's a grind. All of a sudden I'm like, fuck, I'd rather go back to BT, man. I'd rather go back to BT, start buying vinyl, like, not again, but
Part-time
literally.
job in the record
Yeah,
store.
you know what I mean? It's fucking, I'll be more fulfilled because, trust me, that, I mean, look, if you're that way inclined, then you're going to be fulfilled by it. But,
but if
I've learned, like, that's not me. It's not where I want to be. It's not important to me for fame, and like, it's not. I just want to love what I do, and I want other people to appreciate and connect with me. So
I think integrity is so important with your music because
man, I mean, integrity's gone in music though, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know, look around.
Degree,
man.
of course.
Look around in every element of music, like everything you hear on the radio, and you know when you hear. I'm very much into. I like hip hop. I like rap. I like the new stuff is fucking garbage, man.
Yeah,
it's
I agree.
Just like
I'm listening to the same hip hop I was when I was a kid.
Same, mate.
You know what I
same,
mean?
same. And you know what? As well, I read something that those artists are going on tour and selling out.
Yeah.
The younger generations that, you know, because I think ultimately cream always rises to the top, doesn't it?
Always, that's
Does.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
So let's just talk a little bit, like, you know, what have you got coming up, like, for the label? What have you got coming up for you? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, so I've got, so at the moment I completed an LP some time ago. I don't want to call it an album because it's not experimental enough for it to be an album. Like, not like my one I did on Edible where I did everything. This is more kind of like house and garage, a little bit of garage, but mainly house kind of focused. And we're coming into the third release, which is out at the end of February. 2 tracks from me, obviously, and then the whole LP gets dropped in March with an additional like 3-4 tracks. So at the end there'll be 10 or 11 or 12 tracks, which are all kind of house based, but they're all real club like tracks.
Awesome.
You know, so I don't want to call it an album because there isn't really anything that arty there. They're all like quite functional tracks that you'd play out. And you know what? And I kind of did it around this time to because I'm taking it on tour as well. I'm doing like all night and long extended sets in the UK, so all the music is very much based around like small venues and small sounds. So
awesome.
That's like kind of that ends in March, and I'm touring that at the moment. It's called Dialed In. The LP is called Dialed In. It's a Dialed In tour where I'm taking it to like Watergate. I'm taking it to Shelter.
Give it Watergate.
Yeah, Watergate,
club, man.
Shelter. Where else? Like Pasha in Munich, Pasha in Barcelona. Hopefully, I'm not going to say anything yet because it's still in the early stages, but do I want to jinx myself? I don't know.
Nah, don't do it.
No, I'm not.
Don't
I'm
do
not
it,
going to say
don't do
anything.
it.
There'll be something in London,
Yeah.
in the start of the summer,
Okay.
and that's when it will end. And then I've got what else do I have? I have a remix on Moxie. I've got a remix on Richie Ahmed's 432. And I'm gonna like mainly release my music on my own label. I'm not really that bothered about signing to. Not saying that I don't want to. Like I just want to focus on Seven Dials, and really, really push it and elevate it because. I don't want to release my best music on other labels.
Yeah, when you got Have you bringing anyone else onto the label?
Yeah, I mean, Ozzy Govern is, he's got a release. James View, I always talk about James View.
Yeah,
man.
you've done a track with him before.
Yeah, we did a collaboration last year, which was brilliant, and I think we've been talking about like doing a completely different project together.
Oh wow!
So not James View, Seb Zito will, it's like the early talk stages of that. I definitely want to do something with him. Who else? Like Zach Stanton will release again this year. Like it's basically everyone that's released. I want a follow up.
Yeah, that's good.
Us two. They've done two EPs on my label.
The two brothers.
Yeah, the two brothers.
Yeah.
They were what were they called?
Craig
and that's it.
Yeah.
But us two, they're doing amazing now.
Yeah, they're supposed to come on air at some point. Actually.
Really fucking nice guys, man. When they sent me music, I was like, why is no one signing this, man? This is sick. Like, and now they've got EastEnders and Microhertz, and I think Archie signed them before as well. But yeah, they're doing amazingly, and good on them because they're very talented young guys. So
just on that, just last two questions now. Up and coming artists, like who else would you say is like
God. Who am I like really like digging at the moment? I can't think, man. It's like my mind's gone blank.
There were just too many out there.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'll have to. You know what? Let me look through my phone. Because a lot of the music this year being released on Seven Dials is coming from myself. Yeah. I'm just putting everything out.
This is a question actually, just on like how are people sending you music these days? Is it still SoundCloud links or WeTransfer or like?
People hit me up on Instagram, and from there, or email as well. I've got that. Is it Track Stack?
Yeah.
I never go on there. I never go on there, man. Stuff, I was like, you know what? It's so impersonal.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna like, I haven't been on there once. I think I've been on there once, and now my computer won't allow me to go onto the site. So now,
just like another fucking thing in it to remember. Like,
yeah, I know.
Right, bro. So last question we ask everyone. It's called the afters. We want to know what's your best after party story.
Fuck. Oh dear. Jesus.
I literally just threw this on at him as well. Like, about 5 minutes before we started. So
I've got. There are a lot. Trust me, there are a lot of after party stories. Most of them I've been too kitted to fucking even know what's going on. But there was one. Yeah, okay. There was one. We was doing Fuse at Sankey's, and me and Roscoe was playing upstairs. We played back to back, I think, all night. And Enzo was downstairs with maybe Tinny or someone, I can't remember. But me and Ross like went through like 3 bottles of Yebas. I don't remember. I fucking blacked out, man. I was gone. I blacked out, and I was blacked out, but I was there. Like I was still there. And obviously they shut the room a little bit early. We went downstairs, and Enzo was playing, and I was like, whilst he was playing, I was like going up and down on the pitch. I was going up and down on the pitch, and he was like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And like,
whilst he was playing the track,
I was doing that, and I had this like this grin, and Enzo's got a picture of it, and it's still on his phone now. I think when I call, that picture comes up. This is going back like 2014 or 15, I think. Yeah, and. Is this even an after party story? It's more of a fucking.
It's all right. You're in now. It's a good one.
Yeah. So he kicked me out the booth. He's like, "Get him out!" And everyone took me to the green room and was like trying to straighten me out. And I was just like, apparently I was an absolute fucking terror.
Wow.
Like I had this grin the whole time. This grin, and we went to an after party, or should I say someone's villa, and I don't remember any of this. I do not remember a single thing. And there was like a couple there in the pool getting it on, I think. And I just decided, fully clothed, to just run in and fucking bomb both of them. And when I did, I come round.
Oh,
I
shit.
was like,
what the fuck?
where the fuck am I? And everyone went, hey, he's back. Seb's back. I was like, what the fuck am I doing in this pool? Like, what's going on? Like, yeah. And then everyone just told me everything that happened over like the 14 hours of me blacking out, you know?
It was like a head in your hands situation
Yeah,
at that point.
it was
Like,
definitely one of
fuck
those
me,
moments. Like,
well, mate, what an absolute fucking pleasure. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for joining us, mate.
thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
It's
looking forward
it's
to
been
hearing,
fun, man.
Yeah,
It's
and
been a lot
looking
of
forward
fun.
to hearing plenty of the new stuff coming out.
Yeah,
man, and,
there's a lot of stuff coming out.
Awesome. Nice one, bro.
Oh, nice one. Wicked.